Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at Anders Nilsen's new book, Tongues. This is the volume one. It's a big book, so oh my goodness, and it's a lot of work. I can't imagine how long it's going to take for volume two, but really excited about this book. I think Anders Nilsen is one of the living masters that we have, someone who, when his work comes out, everyone should be paying attention to. This book is produced by Pantheon, so now Nilsen is working with the backing of, like Chris Ware level, do whatever you want, kind of, it looks like in the book. You can see that some of the patterning that shows up in a lot of Nilsen's artwork has been tipped into the book here and become part of the production of the book. This is a collection, I think, of 3 or 4 books that came out in single volumes that have been now collected into this graphic novel. The story itself is strange in a good way. It's very mythic. It has a lot of references to Greek mythology. It also kind of has a sci-fi feel while being also contemporary and very apocalyptic. And it seems to be commentating on the times that we're living in. I don't know how long this has been going on, so I'm sure there's some things in here that are a bit prescient. But this work definitely has been made over a long time because it's a labor-intensive work of art. We start out here, and the story's kind of jumbled around as well. So we start out, and then, like in the middle of the story, with this army jeep flipped over, and you got this eagle taking this monkey named Mike out, and the monkey's not very happy about it. Seems like a bit of a random scene at first, but it plays into the rest of the story as you go. I don't want to give away too much about this. This is definitely a go get it, read it book. It's new out, so I don't want to spoil anything, but give you a sense of what's in the book and some of the characters. Prometheus is in the book. This is how Prometheus is drawn. You see him chained, and he's been being visited by different eagles and has trained them to talk to him. So that's part of the story. You see some of the really cool design work going on here too with the panels, oftentimes in these, I don't even want to say octagons or hexagons, constantly shifting rectilinear shapes, and then these very strangely designed, again, using that kind of, it almost looks like Aboriginal art to me that Anders Nilsen uses a lot of in his work, this design style that he uses. So very, very cool, strange page layouts throughout most of the book. We get introduced to another main human character here, this kid who's got this teddy bear strapped to his back and is trying to hitchhike through a war-torn desert zone. I don't think it's specifically defined, but obviously some kind of warfare zone in the Middle East. We also get introduced to a young girl named Astrid. Astrid finds in this Jeep this thing here that's called the Heart of God. That's one of the main pieces in the story, at least as far as I understand it. This is only volume one, so I don't know quite where it's going, but the gods are at war, and Prometheus is about to get loose, and things are about to change on Earth. I don't know exactly how, but that's where we're headed. We get this Leda character here, Leda and the Swan, so we are introduced basically to Zeus as the Swan. All the gods have this kind of dark demeanor, and then they have these glowing red eyes. You can see some more of the composition work there. There's a lot of production stuff going on in the book where Anders Nilsen is playing with color to set mood, like this sequence here. That's the dream sequence. Just very strange layouts and things that are all intended, all designed to give you like optical illusions and things that manipulate how you feel physically as well as, and then that contributes to an emotional feeling. And then there's some really cool stuff here, and this is what I was saying, you're entering like Chris Ware level, people let you do whatever you want, where they've let Anders Nilsen have these fold outs. So I'm assuming these must have been like, well, I don't know. Would that have been the cover? No, that would have been inside of a book. So definitely not just the covers. But this happens a few times throughout the book where you have something like this and then you flip it and you get this more robust, detailed, crazy image on the inside. Really fun. You can see there's some totally strange stuff going on. One of the things that's going to help lead to the end of the world, I think, in this is fungi, which is really cool. Love fungi, love mushrooms, love the mycelium. And so seeing these big like spore balloons come out and burst and pop, that's really fun, and I look forward to seeing where that's going. And then you can see over here kind of this calendar of the Promethea character having been killed and rotted and coming back to life. So a lot going on in this book visually, a lot going on in terms of writing. There's a number of different characters that you follow. I didn't even map them all. And the way that they interweave and the story comes together, it's kind of jumbled up like kaleidoscope, but it comes together very clearly. I wouldn't say it's a confusing book at all. It's a very straightforward book. You just have to read it and piece it together. So really, really interesting premise. You can see the art is amazing all throughout. Constantly kind of playing and experimenting. A lot of mythology involved. Actually, should have put a sticky on this page too, but I really like this sequence here where the people are talking in symbols. He's dealing with the development of language, obviously, with Prometheus as like the fire bringer, the light bringer, the language bringer. Just a really rich book that looks at human history, and I also think is in this category of works that I love right now, and the works I'm trying to make too, which is I think a lot of artists are really looking back at our mythologies and not deconstructing them anymore, but trying to reconstruct them in a more helpful way. Like we've gone through the deconstruction, and I see people like Anders Nilsen trying to reconstruct them or expand, like, okay, this is where it left off, where do we expand? And I've seen other people trying to make entirely new myths. So really curious to see how that plays out over the next 20 years or so. Which ones stick? Are they the ones like this that are expansions of previous mythologies, or humans as we move into the information age at a point where now our world is so different that the old mythologies don't work at all anymore? I'm not sure, but I'm curious to see how it plays out. And there's a lot of books that I feel like are important entries into that conversation, and Anders Nilsen's Tongues is definitely one of them. So go get yourself a copy of it. It's a big, beautiful book with stunning artwork all throughout, and is obviously a massive labor of love for the artist.